Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers, sisters, viewers and friends of Ikra TV. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I'm your host Iqbal Bana. I come into your homes every week, as I say, invading your privacy, but in the process, hopefully bringing you information and people of huge experience and knowledge. And we discuss subjects that affect all of us in our day-to-day lives. Today, I want to talk about a very important issue, which this week is going to be debated throughout the country and possibly around the world as well. And that is the proposal to have a discussion debate in Parliament on this assisted dying bill, which if you watch any news items or any news channels or read any newspapers, you will see that that is one of the biggest issues that is confronting our world at this moment in time. Now, yesterday, the day before yesterday, 29 representatives of major faith organizations from across the country wrote a letter to the government to say we oppose the proposals contained in this will. The proposals are basically to say if the doctors say that this person has got 6 months to live, then they can, if the members of the family wish, they can ask the doctors to certify that, go to court, and that person will then be allowed to be given the opportunity to kill themselves. That's how it's been described. Some have described that as assisted suicide, and a few people have called it assisted murder. Now, this is an issue that's going to affect everyone. Virtually every Muslim organization, every Hindu, members of the Hindu faith, members of the Sikh faith, and members of the Christian faith and other faiths have put forward major objections to the contents of this bill. So today I have some very eminent guests with me today, and a very, very special guest actually with me today. By coincidence, he is visiting the UK. He's only here for this evening. He's flying back tomorrow. And that's Bishop Moses Yoma Masala from Tanzania, in the Diocese of Roya. So can I say a very special welcome to Bishop Moses from all the way from Tanzania. He's here in Bradford. I'm not sure if you've been to Bradford before, but if this is the first time, I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, and I hope you'll come back. So Bishop, thank you for coming. With him is a very dear friend of mine, Dr. Manoj Joshi, MBE DL, fellow DL like myself, and Mufti Zubair, who's been on my program before as well. And I keep trying to invite him, but he's a very, very busy man. But I'm really glad that he's made time to come here today. So all faiths, as I say, have said that they have major concerns about this proposal. Although the proposer of the bill, Kim Leadbeater, whose sister Jo Cox was a very good, very, very good dear friend of myself, and Jo did some amazing work. So I want to talk about this, and I'm sure many of you have either read about it, heard about it, or seen it in the news. If you want to share your thoughts, as you know, the phone number is 01274 214 299. I would love to have you ring in and tell us what you think about the dangers or the pros and the cons of this bill. So can I start first, obviously, with Bishop Moses. And by the way, unfortunately, Bishop Moses, because he's on a very tight schedule, he won't be able to stay with us for the full program. I wish he could, but I can understand that. So I'm going to start with Bishop Moses, and then I'll come to Dr. Manoj. Bishop, welcome to Bradford. Welcome to West Yorkshire. Thank you. All the way. I wish you brought some lovely Tanzanian weather with you, because you've seen the cold that we're suffering at the moment. Bishop, this is a very serious issue that is confronting our communities. Yeah. Have you got any thoughts on that? What the Christian Church obviously come out against the proposals? How do you feel about this?
Yeah, thank you. As you introduced me, I'm Bishop Moses Yamo Masara from the Anglican Church of Tanzania, Diocese of Rorya, and I'm visiting Leeds Diocese. And when I came here, the weather is challenging, and that is my first time.
That's a kind word to use, challenging.
Yeah, my first time to see and touch snow. But coming to the point of maybe the bill of assisting someone to die when he or her in a bad condition or in his last life, my opinion will reflect my own opinion and as a Christians, but will be not an opinion of any...
Not of the church.
Not of the church, but that is my own opinion as a Christian who are coming from the African context. I think for me, God gave us life freely. And that life should be lived in its fullness. So for me, I don't think there is any reason, even if someone in their last life, to help them to die. I think if it is a time for God to die, we will die. If it is not time for God to die, we will not die. So I think in our context, that will not be something good to practice or something that will be allowed to take place. I think for us, we are taking care of our older people. We are taking care of people who are sick. At the last point, then the God will call them home. So I think for us for me, I think that is not a good thing to practice, is to allow someone to have a life and to have it full abundance. So sometimes the doctor can say is that you are going to die in a few days, but I think sometimes science can err. God cannot err, but science can err.
Yes.
So I think that is not an ideal idea to practice it as a Christian community, as any faith-based community. I think we have to appreciate, we have to celebrate life in any condition we are going, whether it is a painful, whether it is in the last end. I think we have to let God be God and not try to do things that is not in a Christian manner or in a other faith manner to help people to die quickly. That seems like we are committing suicide or whatever. That is not religiously good and religiously
So you
welcome.
fundamentally believe in the sacrosanct life
Yeah.
is given by God and taken by God.
Yeah.
And we don't have the right to
Yeah.
decide when a person
Yeah.
can or should die.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, I know you're not talking on behalf of the church. You're talking in your personal capacity as a Christian, practicing Christian. And I think that's welcome because, as I say, many people of faith, including the Muslim community, the Hindu community, the Sikh community, the Jewish community, Baha'i community. There's a long list of leaders from 29 faith communities have written letters to the government saying they've got some real concerns. How do you think people in Africa might view what is happening in Britain?
For us African, that can be a surprise, but also that can be something people can, how this happening? Because for us African, we are really struggling to make sure that we are living.
Right.
There are a lot of things facing us.
Oh, definitely, yes.
And so I think there is no any point of us thinking that if I'm sick, seriously illness, to be assisted to die. Though there are people taking suicide here and there, that is personal decisions, and that is according to us and according to African context, according to the Christian faith, according to the African traditional beliefs. It is not a good idea to someone to
take their own life
or kill themselves.
Yes.
So I think it is giving a chance so that you live, and you live to the fullness. It will depend how long you live. You can live 20 years, 30, 50 or 70. But I think it's not, African people will be amazed and trying, it's really will take place.
They'll be thinking, these people have got everything they need. They've got food, they've got water, they've got shelter, they've got lots of, sort of money and, nice housing, and they still want to kill themselves. Whereas we are struggling, we've got no food. Manoj has just told me that in in your case, for example, although you're a bishop, you have not even been paid for a number of months. That's how tough life is for people in Africa. And I know I come from Malawi. They've got a very good big group of Malawian, non-Malawians who've gone from here to Malawi this week to try and help the people of Malawi. And I'm sure the same happens to you in Tanzania as well. So we have this backdrop of poverty, destitution, lack of access to medicine, etc., in parts of Africa. And then on this side, you've got everything that you could desire. And then people want to exercise this rule. Manoj, I know you're not speaking on behalf of the Hindu community, but you're a practicing Hindu, and I've known you for a very long time, and I have a huge amount of respect for you. How does the Hindu community feel about these proposals? I know the Hindu Council of Britain have objected to it anyway.
First of all, thanks for inviting me to talk about this very serious and difficult subject. But in principle, I have to say that as a practicing Hindu person of Hindu faith, and lots of people in my community share the idea of actually assisted dying or committing suicide by assistance and ending the life, and we fundamentally disagree with that, because as Bishop Moses has said, it's a gift of God. Birth and death are not negotiable, and according to Hindu faith they are predetermined even.
Exactly, yes.
And therefore we do not interfere with that. In terms of people who are at their end stage of their life, which are determined by somebody else, which is never 100% guaranteed. So I think that nobody should have a right to decide, even if there is a minute chance of somebody living or surviving. I have a little bit of sympathy in terms of people who argue that, oh well, it's painful, it's very hurtful, it's emotionally challenging, it's painful for the relatives. But with the current state of scientific knowledge and medicines available, I don't think that is an issue cannot be overcome. So comfort in every sense of the word can be given to everybody, and I strongly object to anybody deciding that somebody's life should be ended. And I also think, Iqbal Bhai, that this is a slippery slope. It's a start, and this will then go well beyond we've ever thought about. People will be included who have got a long scope of life, but they'll be made to feel that they haven't. And that is a very negative step, and so I disagree.
One of the fears is, they've been expressed, and I agree with that, is that members of the family or surrounding circle will try and coerce people into signing away that they're happy to die, and they should be put through the assisted dying program. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Family members will put pressure.
Well, this is what I mean, because there are a lot of non-medical reasons why people will coerce or will influence shortening of life or ending of life of somebody who does not need to die in these circumstances. And as I said, I don't speak on behalf of the Hindu community or organization, but I speak on behalf of Hindus who are not represented in any organizations or any community associations. Their views I'm sharing because they have shared those with me.
Right.
And they have said very vehemently that they oppose this bill in its entirety. There's no space for this. And as Bishop Moses has said, people are struggling to live, and we are on the other hand, we are trying to say, well, we should let them die. And I suspect underneath all this, Iqbal Bhai, there's an issue about finance as well.
I mean, that's possibly some of the people's fears are. But Bishop, I mean, obviously, the African church is much more traditional than the sort of Anglican church at the moment in this country or in the West. And we have some similar issues around Islam as well. That you go to different parts of the world, and some are much more orthodox and others are sort of more liberal. Do you feel that this is another one of those issues that will impact the African church, like other issues have done so as well? The assist dying proposal.
Yeah, it might be, depending on how someone can interpret it. But I think we always will not be in agreement in everything. So it can cause a lot of challenges here and there in African church. But I think what we are to stand about is say that with this modern technology, with this development of medical facilities and with all everything that God has given us, I think there should be another way of tackling the issue rather than assisting someone to die. Maybe the other is the church has to take front right that can help people to talk to them, try to encourage them, try to be with them in any difficult situation they are going, so that the church can offer a comfort to the people towards their end life, regardless in which situation, rather than say, oh no, now this is painful for a person. I think everything is possible in Jesus, and if we take it to them, and He will give us ease, and He will give us encouragement, and He will give us the. So I think even if it brings a lot of discussion, a lot of argument, but I think the best thing is to say that God is able in every situation, even if it is in a painful situation. I remember Job goes through a lot of hardship in his life, a lot of painful life, which Satan caused on him, but he held on, and God asked him, were you there when I created the world? Can you tell me? Were you there? So God is everywhere. God can answer our challenges. God can help us to tackle our challenges even when we are in a very painful situation. Still God is God who can comfort us. So for us, that is not our challenge, and I think if it is not our challenge, no means of taking it to the discussion, because it will not do us any good.
Exactly,
rather than bringing
so you are
much
lucky.
division.
In that sense, you are lucky. You're immune from this discussion, this debate at the moment. May God keep you in that situation for a long time to come before it comes to you, because obviously now, obviously, I'm gonna, you've been sat there very patiently, and I know one of the reasons is our two esteemed guests, have got to leave, and I know Bishop Moses is a very short visit, so that's why I've been focusing on them. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about the Islamic perspective of this as well. So before we go for the break, can you just give us your thoughts and your views on this, please?
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. First of all, I think we can leave the Islamic perspective till later, inshallah,
Okay, yes,
the second discussion.
That's fine.
I think it'd probably be a good idea to frame this discussion, how this discussion is happening, and what are the tensions in this discussion in Britain. And so fundamentally what you have is a conflict between personal autonomy. Should I be able to decide whatever I want to do with my body? Or do I have a duty and obligation to use my body in a manner that has been decided by someone else? So it's about personal autonomy against obligation. Okay, so where you find a group of people that hold generally a faith, and if that faith is one that believes in a God, you will find that they will be opposed to this bill, because as you've already heard, it is their belief will be God gives life, and God is the one who only has the right to take our lives. Our lives are a blessing. Our lives are something to be cherished and nourished, etc., etc. And on the other hand, you'll find predominantly those that have maybe of a secular thinking. For them, God is not part of the discussion, is not part of their equation. So how do you decide whether something is good to do or not? And as human beings, we have different ways of coming to conclusions. So for some people, when they decide to do something, they decide on the basis whether it'll give them the most or least pleasure. So something is good because it gives me more pleasure, and something is bad because it gives me less pleasure. So they decide, the reason for deciding good and bad is based on the pleasure that they get. Others will look at the effect of that. What benefit do they derive from that? So what is the utility? It's a utilitarian argument. What is the benefit of that? If it gives us benefit, it is good, and if it doesn't give us benefit, it's bad. And then you have...
But this, sorry to stop you, I mean, this issue doesn't just impact on people of faith, it also impacts on people who've got no faith.
Yeah,
like
the
you
point
say.
I'm trying to know, the point I'm trying to make is those people that have no faith, they are making the decision how something is good or bad.
Yeah.
So generally that is intuitive. You have a gut feeling why this is good, and that is a product of society around us. Also, so over the years we've built up this idea of what is good and bad. Now, in this particular debate, the argument, there are two basic arguments that are made for the approval of the bill. One is that as human beings we should be able to decide our own outcome. So personal autonomy. And secondly, it's about removal of pain and hardship and difficulty and suffering. Okay. Now both of these are something that have questions around them. We accept that we are bound by the law, and so we accept that our personal autonomy is restricted. The question really is that it's not we don't have absolute autonomy, personal autonomy, but we have an autonomy that is restricted. The question is how restricted we want to be.
I mean, with all due respect, we're going to be going for a break. The people who are vehemently opposed to this at the moment are people of faith, usually.
Mainly.
Right? And mainly the people of
Yes.
faith, and that covers all faiths.
Yeah.
As Bishop said, if you're a Christian and a practicing Christian, you believe in Jesus, like we believe in Allah. So to me, I have the same views as the Bishop and Manoj as well. So for them, there's a very clear-cut answer to it, and that is, nope, I believe in God. This is what God's told me, and therefore I cannot decide whether I should die or not. Simple as that. Gone. So so we're going to be going for a break. So the people who have no faith, so there are people of faith who also sometimes agree with this, right? But do we then consider that those people's faith is slightly weaker than other people's faiths in that case? Because there will be people out there, like you say, it's a choice that people have to exercise. Do I exercise my fundamental right to make my own decision, or do I not? We're going for a break. I hope you've enjoyed the program so far. Obviously, this is a very interesting and challenging debate, and this has been happening throughout the country, and it's been happening in Muslim communities as well. Mufti Zubair Sahib has written a very, very good response to this particular issue on behalf of the Council of Mosque, and I think anybody who wants to see it, it'll be on the Bradford Council of Mosque website, I presume.
It is being going around
I've seen it,
on
yeah.
WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I can ask them to put it on the website
Yeah.
if it's not there already.
Yeah, oh, right. I was going to say, if anybody wants to read it,
Yes.
probably will be on the website, but it has been distributed. I've seen it. It's really amazing. It covers a lot of the points that we'll be talking about, and therefore, we'll see what happens. Thank you very much, Sir Bishop. I'm sorry you have to leave.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yep.
May you have a safe journey back to Tanzania. Bhai Manoj, thank you very much. Dhanyawad. May Bhagwan be with you and look after you. And I know your good ladies here as well watching us. Bhavna Bhabi, thank you very much. Bhavna Bhabi, thank you for coming as well. The audience can't see you, so right. She's shy. So inshallah we'll come back with you shortly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.